Welcome to Tate's Sports Office, an in-depth look at the world of sports, featuring exclusive interviews with our KRQE News Sports Director, Tate, sponsored by Caesars Sportsbook at Route 66 Casino.
We are talking about hockey in the sports office today, and no, we're not talking about the New Mexico Scorpions, the last hockey team that was in the Duke. We're talking about the new hockey team, New Mexico Goatheads, and joining me now, Jared Johnson, the team general manager. Jared, how's it going?
It's been busy, but happy to be here. Thanks for having us on.
And as far as hockey in the desert in New Mexico, you came here with your own formula, or did you study the Scorpions before you got here so you would know, like, hey, we need to do this, we need to do that, or how did that go?
Yeah, I mean, I'm new to New Mexico, so it's been a change for me. But our ownership's based out of Texas, so had to get used to them too. But honestly, like when I took this job, didn't really do a ton of research or anything. But once I got out here and kind of learned the area and the culture and whatnot, and saw what the Isotopes and New Mexico United do. To really embrace the area. We've definitely picked up on some of that stuff, but to bring, I guess a non-traditional sport out here has had its own challenges, but it's been awesome so far and couldn't be happier with how things have gone.
So you're gonna probably have a green chili cheeseburger now.
Oh, yeah, we're actually meeting next week with our staff to kind of start brainstorming promotions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So we'll have to dive into the culture around here and come up with something creative. So
have you had one, man? I mean, like everybody comes through, we ask them red or green.
Yeah, no, I have. So I love the food out here. It's awesome. So
you're supposed to say red or green or Christmas. Which one?
Green.
Are you a big green?
Yep.
Green chili?
Yep.
All right, man. Okay. All right. Put that in some chicken, man. It's
Yeah.
good. Hey, so you have an affiliation with the Colorado Avalanche, and how does that work? Does that work like baseball, major and minor league baseball? Like if they had a player that was injured, are we probably going to see him coming back on a rehab assignment or something like that?
Yeah, it's honestly it's pretty similar to baseball. I would say it's not as like widespread as how baseball's kind of operates. So like with the Isotopes, for example, every single one of their players is a Rockies prospect of sorts or a Rockies player of sorts. For us, we'll probably have about anywhere from probably on average about 10 of our players at any time will be either Avalanche contracted player or an Eagles contracted player, which is the AHL team.
Yeah, Colorado Eagles. Okay.
And it'll kind of fluctuate. We might have times where it's, 13 or 14, and then we might have times where it's only 5 or 6 guys. And then our coach will go out and sign just free agents basically to fill out the rest of the team. So yeah, that's definitely a possibility, especially with the Avalanche. Gabriel Landeskog, who's their captain, actually played a couple games with the Eagles last year, coming back from an injury. But they'll definitely send guys down to, just train with our team and skate, get their legs under them, and then they might go to the Eagles, play a couple games or train for a little bit, and then eventually go back to the Avalanche. And then same thing with the Eagles. They might come down here and train, since it is, a lower league, a little bit of a slower pace, and then, go back up, when they're ready to go. So
I remember you guys had the announcement about the Eagles and the Avalanche and how you're going to be affiliated with them. And that party seemed like it was lit, man. I mean, how many people were out there, and was that encouraging?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think we've ever, been, disappointed with the turnout on anything so far. We had about 1,500 people at our brand reveal back in September. And then once we, got the final signatures on the piece of paper with the Avalanche, we start planning that announcement, and obviously did it at the Block in Rio Rancho, who's one of our sponsors for the first year. Wanted to change it up and do it somewhere different than the event center. And we've had about 1,300 or 1,400 people RSVP, so we knew it was going to be a big crowd. And when I walked out on stage or after we made the announcement, I was like, there's more than that here. So then later in the day when we kind of closed up and, debriefed with the Block, they were like, there was like 2,500 people here. They were like, we haven't had that many people here since the grand opening.
Wow.
We had people tell us, later on, that we ran into out and about that were like, we wanted to come, but we couldn't find any place to park. Like, we had to watch it on Facebook.
Wow.
So we were blown away. Like the Avalanche representatives were here, and they were like, we had no idea that was what it was going to be like. And I think, we've obviously shared with them, how we're doing on the business side, and they were, blown away with how many people were there and what the support's like already. And, just the interest we've gotten since that announcement has been awesome. Merchandise is continuing to sell. Last week was our biggest week for sponsorship so far. We've added a couple hundred more season tickets already. So it's, that was just another, peak for us on this little journey we're on. But, couldn't be happier, like I said, with everything that has happened so far for us.
People are like hungry for hockey here, aren't they? Because I mean, when the Scorpions were here, I remember when they first started, and like they went to the playoffs and all that, and it was at Tingley Coliseum, and it was just like packed. And it's just like people wanted to be there. So you guys are probably picking up that crowd and people just hunger for it because it's been gone.
Yeah, I mean, we're at about 1,400 season tickets already, which we're blown away on. I wouldn't say we, didn't have any expectations, but I'd say everything that we've seen so far on all fronts has been more than we expected. But yeah, we've definitely run into a lot of season ticket holders that have been around since then. And then we've had a lot of people that, are, transplants from somewhere else that, had hockey or they've been accustomed to hockey before. And then we've also had a lot of people sign up for season tickets that they might have watched hockey on TV or they might have, seen it at some point, but they're not necessarily hockey fans. And they're like, we gotta buy season tickets to this. It's, I'm biased. I'd say outside of college football, it's the best sport to watch live. So that's one of the hurdles we've had to clear out here is, people are like, I don't know, hockey, like, it's not my thing. And I'm like, have you ever seen it live? And they're like, no, I've only watched, the Avalanche on TV or something. I'm like, all right, go find a game, whether it's the Ice Wolves or the UNM team, or go to Colorado, watch a game, and that'll change your mind. And I couldn't tell you how many people have come back to us after that and been like, hey, I went to an Ice Wolves game. It was awesome. Like, I'm a hockey fan now. So, so that's been a lot of fun to kind of build not only our fan base, but also build just the hockey interest out here too. Because it is, it is one of the biggest sports obviously in the country, but it is also like one that a lot of people just don't watch or don't follow just based on where they live or where they're from. And then obviously with, the USA men's and women's team both winning gold, for that to happen right after our affiliate announcement, I think has fueled some of that interest we've seen over the last couple weeks. I mean, personally, I know, people that, I know from high school or college or whatever that I know don't watch hockey I was seeing them tweeting and posting on Facebook about the game that, like I said, they're not fans, but they were tuned in. And now, not only that side of it, but, fueling that kind of next generation of young kids that have never had an interest in playing hockey, but now they do because of those teams. And like I said, couldn't have asked for that to line up better with our announcement a couple weeks ago. So
the conversation is just getting started. We have more on the other side. You guys are like one big family with the Ice Wolves and trying to grow the sport in this part of the country, huh?
Yeah, it's Stan, the owner of the Ice Wolves, has been to all of our announcements so far, and I've been to a couple games over there, and they put on a good show over there, and it's obviously a different product over there. They're a junior level team that's those guys are trying to go to college or play in our league, but it's awesome hockey, and they've got a great little fan base over there, and we already have I would say a good amount of season ticket holders and sponsors that have both now because they want to support hockey in this area.
And you seem like you're already getting a community, and even when you were picking the name, How did that go when you were picking the name? Did you see any of them that you were like, oh, other than Goatheads,
Yeah.
Because I was thinking about all kind of stuff. Like I was thinking that you guys are gonna call yourselves a Freeze or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, that was, this is my first expansion team that I've ever worked for. So that whole process was new to me. But we knew that we wanted to involve the community in what we ended up deciding on. So as soon as we announced back in May that the team was coming, we opened that up and had about 3,000, I think, submissions, 4 team names. Obviously, a lot of Scorpions, a lot of some of the older team names and whatnot were included in there. But we knew we wanted to,
New chapter.
obviously honor them, and we are planning on doing that during our first season and beyond. But we wanted to open up and write our own chapter here. And there was, obviously anything you could possibly think of was submitted on there.
Anything that stuck out there, like where you thought, absolutely not.
Yeah, yeah, there was a few. So we obviously, over probably about, I guess, 6 weeks or so, we went through all those. Obviously a lot of them were, obviously a goat head is not necessarily a New Mexico thing. It's a desert thing, but I had no idea what that was.
So when you saw that, you were just like,
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. And then we had, obviously, the 3 finalists were Goatheads, Tarantula Hawks, and Cutthroats, which all have, meanings and distinctions around here. But it was an interesting process. There was names that we liked, but then when we kind of went to the company that did the branding for us, they were like, that would be a tough logo, or it would be tough to get colors tied into that logo. And then it comes into like, what would the mascot look like? What would the nickname of the team be? All that kind of stuff. So, yeah, we put those 3 finalists out, and I think we had over 10,000 votes for the 3 finalists. And Goatheads was always kind of our internal favorite, just because as we went to the branding company, they were like, we really like that. This color set would look good. We were already, even back then, talking to the company that brought Billy, our mascot, to life, and they were like, there's a lot of cool things we could do with that. And then, we were kind of hoping that one of those 3 would kind of blow the others out of the water in the voting, because we liked bits and pieces of all of them. And then once we wrapped up the voting, we looked and they were all within like 100 of each other, and we were like, "Oh no! Like, what do we go with now?" But Goatheads was the one that did win, and then we actually had the company that did the branding actually mocked all 3 names up into logos and stuff. And honestly, from that first sketch we got, what ended up becoming our logo was one of the options, and we were like, okay, there's something here. And then the logo design process was awesome. The company that did it for us, we were on a tight timeline because we were already signed up to be at Balloon Fiesta, so we knew we wanted to announce it before that. And then we also knew we had to leave enough time to buy merchandise, get it here, buy all this stuff that we needed. And he was turning around stuff in, a couple days for us. And he really embraced what we wanted. We wanted to include all of the kind of hidden pieces that are in the logo, and he brought that all to life. And I'll never forget the relief that I had when we finally got the final logo. And the colors obviously match up great, and we couldn't be happier with how it turned out. And we definitely had some doubters at first. So we're like, those are the stupidest names I've ever seen. Like, you guys should be thrown out. You guys should be thrown out of town. All this stuff. And then I'll never forget, honestly, the relief I had when, the video played at the event back in September, and the place went wild. And I was like, okay, like, we've got something here. It's obviously, our logo's not as, seen obviously as like New Mexico United, but, I see our logo everywhere, especially in Rio Rancho, just going out to dinner, driving around town. I see the magnets and the bumper stickers, and people got the hats on.
Oh, that's cool.
And, even, down in Albuquerque, we'll be, at a community event or something with the logo on, and people will be like, oh, that's the new hockey team. So it's been a fun process, and couldn't be happier with where we're at on everything, and how our logo turned out, and the reception we've gotten from the community.
Stay with us. More conversation on the other side. Still looking for a new coach. For a head coach, I mean.
Yep.
How's that process going, and what do you want in a coach?
Yeah, we've started that process with the Avalanche. So really excited to get that process going. We've kind of had some, I guess, internal discussions with them. Kind of what you just asked. What we're looking for. Obviously, they're gonna have a say in the process, but I think for us, obviously we want we want a winning team. So we want somebody that's proven in the ECHL. The ECHL is a fantastic league, but there's a lot of rules that go along with the rosters and how many veterans you can have versus rookies and all that kind of stuff. So it's actually not even a quote unquote officially posted job, but I've probably gotten at least 100 resumes already to my email, and the Avalanche are actually really surprised, I would say, at some of the names that have popped up on there. Guys that played in the NHL. We've got some guys that have won Stanley Cups. We've got guys that have won Kelly Cups in our league. So, excited to get out there to those guys officially, and then also use the Avalanche contacts. They've got better contacts than we do in the hockey world, to kind of put this out there, and would love to have somebody here in the next couple months, because in this league there's not an expansion draft or anything. You get half your team from the affiliate, and you got to go find the other half. Above all, we definitely want a winning team, because I think that'll even solidify our kind of popularity around here. If we got a really exciting team in year one.
You guys playing in the ECHL, and for people who aren't familiar with it, tell them what kind of hockey we're going to see.
Yeah, it's one of the best leagues out there. It's equivalent to AA, if you want to compare it to kind of the baseball model. But it's been around since 1988, and they've sent, I think, over 800 players to the NHL through this league. There was even, I think, 15 or 20 guys that played in the Olympics that were ECHL alumni. The head coach of the Avalanche played and coached and won a championship in both roles in the ECHL. Starting goalie for the Avalanche played in this league. So definitely I would say the highest level of hockey that's ever been out here. And then obviously going back to the Avalanche thing, I mean, couldn't ask for a better partner. I mean, best team in the NHL right now. Just won the Stanley Cup a couple years ago. So really excited for that partnership, and not only the players that they're going to supply us, but also the resources that are available to us now. Kevin, who's kind of our main contact over there, he's the assistant GM. He's going to be down here a lot, helping our coach, helping our players. Mike Battaglia, he's the head U.S. scout. He's going to be kind of our direct, hockey operations type guy. He travels around everywhere scouting players, but he'll be down here probably as much as anyone. And then, same thing for our coaches, being able to go to training camp up in Colorado, getting those experiences and all that. So, we've built out everything really that we can on the business side, but other than some locker room renovations, we haven't done anything on the hockey side yet. So really excited to see how that comes to fruition, I guess, over, the next couple months.
Speaking of the next couple of months, talk about the opening day, and what do you plan on doing? Anything special on opening night, and or is it going to be day or night? I'm sure.
Yep.
I think you guys have probably worked that out as far as the time, right?
Yeah. So October will be the start date.
Okay.
The training camp starts October 2nd, so the players will be here, I guess, a little bit before then. Yeah. And then I think the first date that we were able to submit with the league was October 16th. So right after Balloon Fiesta. And then our season will run all the way till April 11th, I think was the last date we could put in. So we'll have 36 home games at the event center. And then this league plays a full playoffs just like the NHL. So, you got a good team, you make a run, you could have another 10 plus home games that go all the way until June. But yeah, like I said, already kind of starting to look at, what our promotions look like. Definitely, looking at, like I said, what the Isotopes do for promotions, what's successful there. Obviously, they have like the green chili cheeseburger nights, the mariachis nights. Definitely planning to do stuff like that. And then our league also has, a fantastic licensing program where, that we can dip into, doing Star Wars jerseys and doing Marvel jerseys and all this different kind of stuff. So really excited to get together with my staff and figure that side out. But, we haven't gotten into too many details on opening night, but want to make that one of the most special nights in New Mexico history, because we only get one chance to start.
Right.
So if we don't go big, then people might write us off.
Are you a go big, go home?
Oh yeah, yeah. We actually it's been weird the last couple of weeks as we've closed some sponsorships and whatnot. We've had some people come to us and be like, I want to have my balloon, sponsors that have balloons and stuff. What if we had that at opening night kind of thing? And it's right after Balloon Fiesta. So that's kind of got my mind rolling a little bit on, how big we can go for opening night. But, really, really excited to get there. It seems like it's a long way away, but I just realized a week or two ago that I've already lived out here for 10 months, and it seems like I've only been out here a couple weeks. So time
busy, yeah.
time has flown. I know it's going to be here before we know it, and can't wait now with all the announcements we've gotten out of the way to get there and to actually start playing. So,
all right, he's Jared Johnson, General Manager, New Mexico Goatheads. The inaugural season is coming up in October. Are you going to be there? I think a lot of people will be there because he wants to go big. We'll see you next time on Van Tate Sports Office.